Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. I am so excited and so pleased to say that we're starting a new series called Unfiltered, and everything's going to be unfiltered. And this is a new series on the Sensual Womb Whispers, the podcast by the House of Sacred Space. So we have Rehab, and I'm not going to say much. Rehab is going to introduce herself. And yeah, Rehab, thank you for participating with this thought experiment with me. And thank you for joining. So, Rehab, all yours.
Always such a pleasure, Rish, to join this. And to start off, I think the hardest question I have to answer is, what do you do? Because I do a lot of things.
Yeah.
So let me try and I think introduce me for something I think most people will know me from is so I'm editor and I was a journalist for the longest time at the Daily Mirror in the life section. Now I have my own Life Plus section that I'm editor of. I also recently started a series of posts that I do to spark conversation, so people know me from that also now. I also co founded two companies. One is Colombo Dream School, which is a performing arts school, and then we have Dream Team Events, which is an events company, events management company. So as you can see, there's a recurring theme of dreams there because I'm a strong
Yeah.
believer, yeah, in the power of dreams and making that a reality. And also, I am a lecturer, so I teach subjects like academic writing for the MSc program. I teach psych subjects, so it seems like a lot, but surprisingly, I think I've managed to finally find a nice balance. So that's
Nice. And Rahab, for the audience, where are you located?
in Colombo, Sri Lanka. That's easy.
Yes, because a lot of my audience are from different parts of the world, so they all know I'm in Dubai, and they'll be like, okay, where is she? So, guys, Rahab has me and Rahab met when I was in Sri Lanka in June. I was there for June, July, and at
Yeah.
the last leg of my trip only, I was able to meet you, and we've already done a massive podcast interview. Well, part of it is on my Instagram page,
Yeah.
and the other part is still being processed by my team. I know, complications. Anywho, so yeah, so Rahab is in Colombo, and as she says, she is a woman who has many talents, many aspirations, and I love that, and I love how everything for her is about dreams. So
Absolutely.
and yeah, so Rahab, the series is unfiltered, and we're going to do an introduction of why we wanted this series, etc., etc. But I want to get an unfiltered version from you. Like, what is this obsession with dreams and making dreams a reality for you?
See, okay, I'm just going to talk about it from the Sri Lankan perspective, right?
Okay. Yeah.
One thing I've noticed is you can have dreams, but within a limit. If your dream is to become a doctor or an engineer, fantastic, right? If you say, oh, I want to become a performer, it's like, okay, now this dream, that's unrealistic, right? Why do we
Mm,
place limits on dreams? That's what I always say, that no matter what you do, what your passions are, you need to be able to dare to dream, which is also the tagline of my performing arts school, which is
dare
dare
to
to
dream.
dream, right? Why should anyone else's opinions stop you, right? And that's why I think in Sri Lanka, a lot of ideas are really stifled because they don't fit the mold. If you do not
Mm,
fit in that mold, no one is going to push you, no one is going to say, you know what, that's a great idea, let's try that, right? And you can
mm,
see when in Sri Lanka, if you look at the careers, you look at the new startups, there was a point
mm.
where there was nothing exciting, nothing innovative, because no one really supported that, right? And now I'm glad to see that so many youngsters are breaking these barriers and, actually daring to dream, which is fantastic. And it's something that I believe in, like I said, very, very strongly. So dreams are important to me, and I feel like anyone should be able to dare to dream. We none of us should be limited. We shouldn't dictate what dreams are appropriate and what dreams are not, which unfortunately happens, right? So um,
Sure.
yeah, that is why I think everyone should be able to dare to dream. We should not clip anyone's wings, which we are very famous for doing. um, and that's why even this performing arts school, when I wanted to do something different along with my co-founders, people questioned it, and they said, parents are not going to see the value in it. And if we also let
Mm.
our doubts and everyone else's doubts stop us, there would be no Colombo Dream School today. So that's, again, you can see why I believe so, so strongly about dreams.
Wow. See, when I started as a life coach like 15 years ago, I remember taking my now 17-year-old when she was three, when she was about 2 and 3, take her to the cafe, sit her with a gadget, and then I will attend to a client. People were telling me, why would people pay you to talk to you? Why would people pay you to talk to you or come to you? Why would they do that? Like, what are you talking about? Because I'm a business graduate, yeah. So, and I'm an insurance underwriter. So I was being told, like, go back to your insurance, go back to your underwriting. It's a really good job. I'm like, yeah, it is, but that's not my dream. That's not my dream. So so like you said, if I had listened to the naysayers, I wouldn't be here hosting a podcast, talking to you, or come to Sri Lanka and then host a retreat. The amount of negative, I wouldn't say negative, the amount of what is the
I
word
think
I
people
would
were
say?
just questioning your motives and whether it's even, sustainable or doable.
It's not even questioning the amount of I am trying to help you hear statements were a lot. Like, oh, you're a womb healer. Oh, like, oh, your company. Oh, I don't know how it's going to resonate. Oh, I don't know how many people are going to come. And I literally was like, I don't care. I don't care. I'm going to do this. I'm going to be a pioneer at this. And I'm going to do this. And let's see what happens. And after I did my workshop and my retreat, there a lot of things popped up that I hear in Colombo on the same lines. People have been sharing stuff with me, and I'm like, interesting. So yeah, dare to dream.
Absolutely, yes. And that's how, again, we met as well. No?
Yes, yes, yes. We met because I would say we're trailblazers, and we're nice, we're polite. Like, I mean, our families have brought us up to be polite women, like, not to ruffle. Like, my mom always is like, even now, she's like, "No, why are you loud? Why are you saying this? Why are you saying that?" And I'm like, sorry, this is who I am. And that comes with the upbringing. That comes with the upbringing.
Yeah, I've noticed that too. And surprisingly, most actually, I would say unsurprisingly, doesn't matter what your religion is, what your background is. For the most part, you'll hear this from a lot of other women. And I actually, quite a few days ago, I was having this exact same conversation. As
Mm,
women, how we are told to constantly lay low, right?
mm,
Know our place. And sometimes the culture is such that we don't even think to question that.
mm,
Why are we okay with just laying low and having things dictated to us and just going by that, right? And again, I think this is something you would know as well, where even in Islam, our religion, we are asked to question everything.
yeah.
And that is how personally I found a newfound appreciation for my religion, because I realized a lot of
Mm,
what was put in was culture, nothing to do with religion,
yeah, I agree.
right? And religion wouldn't tell me, oh, don't go get educated. But then I had
I
distant
know.
relatives questioning my parents for that, you know? So I'm thinking, if I followed all of that, I would dislike my religion. But religion itself, the reason I am so fond of it is because I learned it by myself. In
Yes.
addition to, what my parents, luckily my parents have been very, easy that way, very realistic about religion, try to, again, there's always a bit of cultural influence that will come in, because at the end of the day they're also pressured by everyone else, but you
True.
see that willingness to learn and to actually follow things. So again,
Mm.
a lot of it, whether it's religion or outside of that, women were always taught to just go with that flow, don't make noise, right? And I think most of us can just resonate with that.
Don't ruffle feathers, don't rock the boat.
Yeah.
And what is the other term they say? Oh, yeah, there's another term. A well-behaved woman succeeds. I'm like, define behavior.
That's a good question.
Define behavior. Define what you mean by well-behaved. Like well-behaved for some people will be like you sit, you look pretty, and you don't have an opinion.
Yes, exactly.
But I can't be like that, so I'm not well-behaved.
Yeah, same. I think when you again really grow up and discover yourself, I think rediscover yourself, because the
Mm,
influences on us, I mean, culture alone plays such a huge role in everything, right? And
mm.
this is seeped into our brains. And sometimes we have to unlearn these things. And even with my students in college, I always tell them, question things, even superstitions, right? I remember one superstition people used to say was, don't cut your nails after 6, it's really bad, and all of that. And I remember
Don't
asking
cut your
people, why?
nails. What?
After
Don't cut your
6
nails?
p.m. Don't cut your nails after 6 p.m. And I thought that was really silly. I was like, what is the justification for that? And I kept asking everyone who told me, I was like, okay, why? Is there a reason? Eventually, I found out that it was because back in the day there was no electricity. So
Mm.
you couldn't see anything, you could hurt yourself. So people
There we are.
started, it just continues in this day and age. We have electricity, we can cut our nails at any time of day. So question it, why are we doing certain things?
But then see, they bring the religion into it.
Yes,
Don't cut your nails at night. It is haram.
yes, the word haram is just thrown
The
around.
word haram. Like I'm like, you the haram police? Like everything is haram. Like when I was growing up back home, I used to have so many fights with my mom. I'm like, why? Why are you saying this? Why are you saying that? Why can't I do that? Why can't I do this? Nobody gave me justifications. Now, when my daughter asks me questions, I'm able to explain to her in a way that she understands. I was like, no, because I said so. It
Exactly.
doesn't work. It doesn't
Absolutely.
work.
And see, that's how you learn, right? By
Mm,
learning to have these respectful conversations. See, even in posts, sometimes I've noticed this. You try to patiently explain things to people, and they're just like, no, this is what I feel. You're not willing to listen to the other side of it at all, right? But when you engage in this respectful conversation, the other person is more willing to listen. But if you go head on, like, I don't agree, you're wrong, you automatically become defensive. So that is something I've noticed. Again, it works differently with different people. Some people you can
mm,
be extremely sweet, but they'll just hold on to their beliefs and not listen anyway. But it
mm,
doesn't hurt to try to be nice. I know we all have our days where we get like extremely frustrated and we want to. But again, that's something now I try actively to be a lot more patient and in how I explain things to people. Because sometimes it truly comes from a place of ignorance, not that they mean anything bad by it. But
true.
yes, yeah,
Yeah, but see, if you're going to bring in religion, Islam came to eradicate jahiliyyah, ignorance. But
yeah.
then people are still ignorant.
Um, Absolutely. It's ironic,
So
actually, but
that's the funny part, and like you said, ironically, it came to release us from the shackles of ignorance, but we willingly accept ignorance because we were not taught anything else better.
yeah. And that's what I say
And
in this day and age where everything,
mm,
information is so easily accessible. It's almost inexcusable for you to be ignorant.
yeah,
And the thing is, people here don't, I've seen it a lot here and I've seen it everywhere else too, where people are just not willing to accept it when they're wrong, because they feel like it's a huge personal attack. But at the end of the day, if you can, I have more respect for people if they can say, you know what, I was wrong, or I didn't know anything about this. I'm not ashamed to say that. Even with my students, there have been times where sometimes they'll ask a question where I'm not too sure about it.
Mm,
Maybe something a little bit more in depth or out of my subject range, and I would tell them I'm
mm,
not sure, but I will check and get back to you. I'm not going to
mm,
take information just to prove
mm.
a point and say I'm your lecturer, I know everything, and then give them wrong information just to And people do that. I've seen that happen multiple times as well. So it again comes with a lot of growth and maturity.
But why would people do that? Like you said, you don't know a subject, you don't know in depthly a subject, but then you try to portray yourself as somebody who is a master of the subject.
Ego. It's all about
Ego. Okay. Wow. Unfiltered first topic is ego. Okay.
yeah, because it's all about thinking of our self concept. We don't want to think, let me put it this way, we don't want others thinking we have faults, but at the same time, we don't want to think that about ourselves either. So when someone says, oh, you're wrong, now we're offended. We can't accept that because that means we are
Mm,
not perfect, right?
mm.
But that's the thing, we are human. We're not meant to be perfect. We're all trying our best, but perfection shouldn't be the ultimatum, right? Because that also really hinders us from getting where we can get to, right?
Mm.
So I think when I was young, I definitely would have been a lot more defensive if somebody said you're wrong. But now again, with time and growth and maturity, you realize that what, it's okay to be wrong. No one's, even if they think less of you, at least you can have some pride knowing that you've been honest through it all.
So where do you think this concept of shunning wrongness, or shunning the whole concept of, oh, I can't be wrong?
Okay, like I said, it has to do with, see, we like to see ourselves as being faultless. So the minute that is attacked, we take it
So
very
do
personally.
So do you think it starts as children, like, like this concept of you need to succeed, you need to get 100 out of 100 or 10 out of 10 in everything, you can't be wrong?
Um, I believe definitely childhood also, because parenting also plays a huge role. When you grow up in a culture where your parents are constantly on your back and don't expect you to make mistakes, when you make mistakes, they jump on you. Even if you're honest
Mm,
and you say, oh, but I did this, that's the huge issue here. The parents will blow a fuse, you probably get lectured for it, you probably get, corporal punishment. So we have this fear of, what, I have to be perfect at all times because that is the expectation
right.
they grow up with, right? But also later on, when you grow up and you're out in society also, like people constantly show themselves to be almost perfect, like I can do no wrong kind of thing. So you don't want to be the odd one out who's making these mistakes and doesn't know anything, right? So at the end of the day, you will defend your point to death if that means you get to be right at the end of the day and you get to feel like you said the right thing.
Wow. So fear of social isolation.
Yes, absolutely.
My God. So we have fear of capital punishment as a child for making mistakes, fear of social isolation as adults, and then we have to hold on to our so-called rights, which are wrongs.
Yes, because at the end of the day, see, as humans, we are social beings. So whether we like it or not, we are
Yes.
largely influenced by, so we're
Tribes.
constantly, we are the hero in our story, right? So we're constantly performing, whether consciously or subconsciously, right? If you meet someone new who you want to impress, how do you present yourself? Right? You're going to be very
Right.
mindful of everything that comes out. So
True.
everything, so it we will constantly be influenced, and it's difficult to be that one person who stands against the crowd,
Mm,
and to say that what, I can't be the only one who's wrong because everyone else out there is right, so we want to win this argument. But again, I think a lot of it comes with more self-awareness, taking time to learn about yourself, growing up, maturity. Again, maturity plays a huge role, right?
mm,
Like, for sure, many years ago, like I said, if you asked me, and maybe if I got something wrong, who, who knows, I would have defended it, right? But now, as I've grown older, I know that, I don't have to prove anything to anyone. Everyone's living their own life, they're not, their vision is not laser focused on you. Because that's how we think,
mm,
that even if we do something, we slip and fall, that everyone is going to notice. Most people will walk past because they're focused on themselves,
true.
right? So yeah, these little things I think comes from maturity plays a huge role, frankly, and education, because when we don't know these things exist, how do we change it,
Mm,
right? So that is why these are topics that need to be spoken about, so that people will even realize that what, this is a thing that I need to be mindful of. Because if we're not talking about it, and we're only discussing this in certain classrooms,
mm,
everyone's not privy to that information. So I think this is why it's important that certain topics are discussed in the open, where people get to share their views as well. Because just because somebody else has a different experience to us, that doesn't invalidate their experience. It's their experience, right? But we
correct.
are so
Correct.
focused that if they don't see things our way, then therefore they're wrong. So that's all of
Right.
that comes with education as well.
Wow. Amazing. Okay, y'all. This series is called Unfiltered. Like, as you can already have must have heard that it's pretty unfiltered. We're already speaking about unfiltered stuff. So, Rahab, um, you came up with certain names for the series, and and
It's quite
I
the
was like,
process.
sorry,
That was quite the process trying to think of
it was
something that
quite a
would
process.
fit.
Yes. Yes, you all should know the backstory of our process. Like Rahab came up with a couple of names, and I was like, okay. And then I think you said not filtered or something like that, right? So I was like,
No
oh, let's
filter,
go
no filter,
unfiltered.
no
Oh,
hose
not
bar,
no filter,
random names.
yeah, no filter or something like that. So I was like, huh, unfiltered. Like, why? Why? Because we're so taught to filter. Okay, me, my generation of women, when the way we grew up is if you're loud, even in classrooms, even like when I was in school back in Colombo, if I was loud or noisy or funny or something like that, you'd be given this look like, is something wrong with you? Like, I don't know what your problem is. Like, you're not poised. You're not graceful. I can't be, I was not graceful to save my life. Okay. I was into sports. I was into debates. I was into all kinds of stuff. But then you see these women, like, the other girls are so, the uniform is not even crinkled. By the time I go home, I'm a mess. My mom was used to be like, "What is this?" I'm like, "Sorry." So,
Exactly. And I was convent educated, so I know the feeling. Is you
so
have to be
like
perfect in everything.
exactly, but I couldn't be perfect. So I was always told, like, oh my God, you're so loud, you're so boisterous, you're so chaotic, you're so this, you're so that. And I was like, okay, I mean, I'm not graceful like you all, or I can't walk like this, or I can't, put a costume together, an outfit together, because it doesn't matter to me. It doesn't concern me. But then, like, you grow up with this shame that you're not, you don't fit a particular mold. So when you grow up, you think I don't fit a particular mold. Either there are two things: either you shrink or you go like, cool, I don't fit the mold. So I decided, cool, I don't fit no mold. So I would say in my generation, in my batch, in my school batch, I would say I'm the one who's doing weird stuff.
It's interesting you speak about this because for one of my columns, I recently interviewed this female photographer, and she was telling
Hmm.
me how even in school, how she was dyslexic, how she was not even graded in studies. Her sister was really smart in everything. She wasn't. She tried a lot of things. She wanted to try everything, but she wasn't good at any of it. And now look at her. She's a very, very successful photographer in Sri Lanka. She's doing projects internationally, right? So the very interesting thing that she said was the support of her parents.
Yeah.
She said her
Mm.
mother, though she did not know the clinical concept of dyslexia, she understood that something wasn't right. And she said not once did her mom put any pressure on her. Even her report cards, the mom was not concerned. She was very kind, very supportive. Whenever
Wow.
she showed that she was passionate about something, the mom and the father would support her. And look where she is today. So that's
Absolutely.
interesting. I don't know if you have noticed this, but the ones who are doing fantastic things with their lives, who have, whether it's in the creative field or any field, whether they've started their own businesses or done anything great like that or something big, who have dreamt big, if you look at them in school, they were not the smartest kids. They were sometimes naughty. They were the backbenchers. They were the ones who did nothing in school. They weren't scoring great, you know. Today, they are among the most successful,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Have you noticed that as well? I mean, it's not to say that those who, constantly got A's are nowhere. But if you look at
No.
the disruptors, it's the
But
disruptors
yeah,
who brought
disruptors
in
are
the
there. But you
world
see,
and disrupted.
Jack Ma, the founder of Alibaba, always said this statement. He always said the A students work for the C students.
Yeah, that
So
is
when my daughter was struggling in school and she wasn't getting the A's that she wanted, I looked at her like, what are those A's going to do? Like, I'm sorry. Oh, I got a B, mama. I wanted an A, blah, blah. And she did a GCSE and she didn't get the exceptional marks that she wanted. And I'm like, girl, I'm happy with your grades. Like, seriously. She's like, no, I didn't get what I want. I told her, listen. Okay. I know women, I'm talking about me personally, who were class toppers, who used to get awards every year. Okay? Used to get awards every year. But where are they now? Where are they now? They're not transforming the world. They're not doing anything significant. They're pretty happy with the mediocre life. So don't go with that. And also I'm not saying that the A toppers they like you said they don't amount to anything. No. It goes both ways. And I'm also not saying that the so-called mediocre ones can disrupt the world also. Not
exactly.
again.
Yeah,
So-called mediocre ones have like burnt out and stuff like that as well. So there is nuances in this. So I don't want people to come at us and say, like, you said this, you said that. So there's always nuances in this. But like
exactly.
what you said, disruptors come in many shapes and forms.
Very, very,
And
very true.
we come in different shapes, different forms. And the thing about disruptors is that we're willing to do it with whatever we have. For example, today's episode, I don't have the right equipment because my kids took it. They took my selfie stick, they took my lighting, everything because they wanted to. They're doing some movie for some project, something like that. So I'm like, I'm literally, and I'm going to be candid. I'm literally having a box on top of that, a pot on top of that, the lamp. Yeah, to make it work.
Wow.
And I'm not home and I'm not outside. I'm usually at the cafe, but this time it'll be very loud. So I've decided I'll stay at home and make it work from home. So what I'm saying is, I make it work with what I have. I'm not going to say, oh, I don't have this. I need to go buy that. I need to go buy this. No. Like, I started my podcast on my phone and it was an S9 phone.
Oh,
I
wow.
started my first episode on my S9 phone, and I mean it's there in the Central Womb Whispers Instagram page. You will see I think there were reel there. There's a reel there. It's so grainy. The video is so grainy, but I'm like, you know what? No problem. I'm gonna do it.
Exactly.
I'm not
And look
gonna
where you are
go
now.
buy tech equipment and everything. I'm gonna do what I have.
I think that is the trick, honestly, to just start. Because if you keep thinking about it, there will always be a reason why you shouldn't. There will always be an
Mm,
issue. The country, it would never be the perfect time. You will never have all the resources, nor all the finances. I'm not saying be foolish because finances are very important in most cases,
yes,
starting a business, especially. Always have your backup. But if you overthink this, you're never going to start, right?
true.
Because in Sri Lanka, we had, COVID happened world over. Then we had the financial crisis.
Mm,
And it was almost immediately after
mm,
that, I started co-founded both of my businesses, right? And if I
mm.
had thought, oh my God, now it's a financial crisis, it's probably the worst time, I would, that would never have happened. There would always have been something.
Yes, I agree. I completely agree. There will always be something or the other that will come up where, and also the thing about disruptors is we have to disrupt ourselves first to go out and disrupt the world. It is not easy.
That is so, so true. That is so, so true because I genuinely have to be very honest. I don't think I had an entrepreneurial bone in my body because I was just used to, again, working under someone, even
Yes.
though I wrote and things, there was always somebody who was my boss. So I don't think I had an entrepreneurial bone in my body. But when I, with my co-founders, decided to start this, there were so many things about myself that I had to change because the two of them were so much stronger in that aspect. And then I decided,
Mm,
okay, what are my strengths and what can I bring to the table? Right? So
right. Wow.
something that I am is again a people person. How can I bring that into the business so that it can, also and it's also a lot of learning, reinventing yourself. And
Yes.
there's something that my father used to hate when I say is I can't or I don't know. He would never accept that as an excuse. So I think back then I used to complain, but now I'm happy he did that because even in business, there were so many things I had to learn myself how to do. I had zero
Mm,
idea, even events, zero idea. It was my sister and my other co-founder Naveed who had this experience. I didn't. And in most of my life, I think how I've learned my job is I've always been pushed into the deep end straight up, and I had to learn to swim and not drown.
wow.
So, because of this, my father also not accepting no for an answer, where I learned to, what, I have to make this work. I'll figure it out. So, I will always figure it out. No matter what I've given, it can be something I've never done in my life. You can give it to me today and I will figure it out. And that's something you absolutely need if you are going to do your own thing. Doesn't matter what it is. If you don't have
Mm,
that, you're going to be stagnant
mm,
forever. And again, I'm not saying
right.
perfect, I'm far from it. And at the moment it really works because again, with my co-founders, they have their strengths, I have my strengths. We can support each other and work together. But especially if you're doing this alone, there's so much you have to, like you said, disrupt within yourself.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's just going to be a dream, and the dream is not going
Yeah,
to
I know. I know. Like when I launched my first adult coloring book, the amount of, huh? What? What's that? Who's gonna buy? I'm like, okay. And then whatever I started doing, like everyone's like, oh, that's interesting. Oh, you always do something. I'm working on different things. But the thing is, like you said, my father always pushed me. He always was like, you can do things. Set your mind, you can do things. My mom was like, you can do things, but then you're a girl. There are certain things you can't cross over. And becoming a mother, I understand. I mean, her fear, like her heart palpitations and her fear and everything. I understand. But then I'm like, but now we tell her, me and my sister, we tell her like, look at us. We're independent. We do things on our own. We don't depend on our husbands. And my husband's like, you cool where you are. You do you. I ain't gonna do it. I'm not gonna be bothered. You do you. If you need help, come to me. That's it. But my mom was not like that. She was always used to go to my father because she was not brought up with that independent mindset. But we were, because we had our fathers saying, like, you have to do things on your own. You got to figure this out. So, like you said, more than figuring out, it's the for me, it's that uh puzzle that I want to solve. Like for example, the podcast. I'm like, hmm, what am I going to talk about? What is my podcast going to be? It's been like 3 years now, and I've been at this. Like, what do I talk about? Or what do I say? Okay, I'll just talk about whatever. There are women who started podcasts after me, they haven't continued because they can't sustain. There are women, I was speaking to a mentee that day. There are coaches and mentors online who were suddenly quite popular, and suddenly they vanish, and then suddenly they emerge, and suddenly they vanish. So we were having this discussion. I'm like, when you're an entrepreneur, you gotta be in there for the good, the bad, the ugly, and the beautiful. Everything. You have to be there. But for a lot of women, like you literally have your hands in the clay because you're molding the next generation. You're an editor. You have the event, so you're like, you can see people like face to face.
Yes.
For me, it's more online. It's more online. I do a lot of work online. But then that also I see people, women mainly are unable to sustain this fire. Why do you think that is?
Many reasons. Sometimes, again, I think one of the main things that come into play is self doubt. Because
Mm,
no matter what, sometimes you have that moment where if you don't get the engagement that you expect, if you feel like people are not responding to it as much as you had hoped, now you start questioning yourself. It's, am I doing okay? Is something wrong? Am I not good enough? Am I not meant for this? And they don't realize that it takes time to build anything, whether you
correct.
want to be a content creator or whether you want to start a business, right? You're not going to succeed. I mean, some people do. Some people blow up immediately. It's a combination of perfect timing, luck, their resilience. It works, right? But it's not that linear for everyone where, it's going to gradually climb and be successful that way. You will have slumps, right? And when those
Mm,
things
mm,
happen, that's when that self doubt kicks in. And unfortunately, a lot of us give into it. If we don't have the supportive, family or friends, now even sometimes with my postings, there
mm,
have been, again, it's not because of the self doubt. It's been like, you have writer's block and you just
mm,
let it be,
mm,
then that has happened to me multiple times. But luckily for me, I have friends who would be like, oh, where's your next post? How come you've not posted it yet? Right? I have sometimes, and it's very sweet because some of these new followers I have never met, I don't know who they are personally, who would drop me a message like, oh, nothing new yet, we're waiting to read your post, and that would motivate me. So again, I would say I've been lucky to have these various people constantly pushing me on and urging me on, that even if I get to that slump, I can get out of it. But unfortunately, not
How
everyone
how
has.
do you how do you say that's luck? I don't agree.
Sorry?
I don't agree it's luck.
No, but I said luck in the sense that I had these support systems in from all angles, whether it was my friends asking about it or even my new followers on Instagram or even LinkedIn sometimes who will say, "Oh, aren't you posting anything yet?" Right? But then there are some people who have absolutely no support. I know friends who started
Mm.
businesses, no one motivates them. Their family members think their idea is silly. Their friends, don't buy anything, don't support anything, don't. Okay, you don't have to buy or anything, right? At least share a story, not even that, right? So you don't. Some people, when they don't, also your personality is different, right? Some people are a lot stronger. It doesn't matter if they don't have that support system, they'll go and make things happen for themselves anyway. But like I said, not everyone is born with all of these things. So I have friends again,
Nobody's born with it.
yeah, who again, she started the business because she was passionate about it. But again, she didn't have that support from anyone. And then there were periods where she was thoroughly demotivated. She gave up. She stopped even creating her products. So it's sad, that sometimes when you don't have this support, also that these things happen. But
That's
I agree, it's not
interesting.
always luck. Luck doesn't always play a role. I mean, I could have all these people telling me, but still be demotivated. Yeah.
Like you could have the whole world asking you and motivating you, but if you don't have, if you do not have the drive,
Yes.
it
Yes.
won't happen. See,
Exactly.
I heard this statement, and many of my girlfriends, they always say this and they crack up, like you should have the confidence of a broke man.
That's amazing.
Okay, a lot of my girlfriends used to tell me that, like at the beginning, they were like, Riz, you need to have the confidence of a broke man. What do you mean? Like at the beginning, I was like, what do you mean? I don't know no broke men. And they're like, broke men, they think they're it, they think they're the whatever, and they think that every woman is a gold digger. And I'm like, okay. And then one of my girlfriends, she was like, there has to be gold for the woman to dig. There is no gold. So
That's
that
actually
made me think. That actually made me think. To be fair, men believe whatever they do is phenomenal. Okay? It's phenomenal. I can see it in my little one. I mean, he'll be like, oh, this is so great. And it'll be subpar. Like, my daughter will just roll her eyes, like, seriously? Like, ain't that great? But then it's for males, it's like anything they create is like phenomenal. And for women, we have to second guess, micromanage, like, is the lighting right? Is this right? Is that right? Is this gonna work? Is that gonna work? And we've been conditioned into so many, uh, I don't know, so many stuff.
So that's what I was also thinking, right? As children, when you're a little girl, a lot of the things are told is, oh, you can't do that, you're a girl, you can't do this, you have to be careful, you have to be this. With little boys, we cheer anything they do, even if it's something really naughty. It's like, oh, how cute.
Yeah,
A little girl does that, oh
I
my
agree.
God, what a naughty little girl. Right? So from a
Yeah,
young little girls are taught to question these things about themselves, whereas little boys, anything goes. So again, I guess a lot of their confidence comes from there as well, of not
yeah.
being shut down no matter what you do.
But and also for girls, their social circle. So, for example, my daughter, ever since she can walk, I've been feeding her concepts of manifestation, magnetism, you can do everything, set your mind, yada, yada, yada. So, when she was about 9 or 10, she turned around and she's like, Mama, I spoke to my friends about this. They don't believe this works. I don't know what this is. So I'm like, okay. So I sat her down. So your friends' mother are manifestation coaches and life coaches? No. Then how do they know it works or not? And she went like, ah, okay. So like I can teach her, I can guide her, I can explain to her. There are times I'll tell her now even, like, magnetize it. And she's like, okay. I'm like, what do you mean okay? Like, what do you mean okay? Okay, okay, bro, okay, like, okay. But I know she's not believing it. So, and her social circle also matters. So that I've been watching, like, observing, like I told, like I told in beginning of my career, like my kids are my experiments. They're my social experiments. That's why I have a girl and a boy. They're my social experiments. I want to see how this works. My mother gets upset every time I say that. But that's the truth. I need to know how this works for me to teach the world. Like what to do, how to do, and how it'll backfire, how it'll happen. So I see that. Like, I see that no matter how much we do, no matter how much we motivate or guide, their social circle, their standing in the social circle matters.
Oh, yes. And especially at
And
that
that,
age, peers are your
especially,
everything.
mm,
Parents are not
sorry.
that cool at this point, but your friends are cooler. You listen to them. You see
Yeah.
happening, with celebrities. They will make more sense than your
Mm,
parents. So you're learning from that. So you're not, whatever you say at this point is not going to be. So it has a lot to do with you as a person, what kind of person you are, your social surroundings. It's all interconnected,
yeah,
and your biology also plays a role. So even in psych, there's this concept that we discuss about biopsychosocial self. So all of this comes together in ultimately how we respond.
exactly, exactly. And I also see that, um, like, to when it comes to men and women, like I said, the confidence of a broke man, we need to adopt that. It may be funny, but we need to adopt that as women because when the moment we step out of our house or we go into a meeting, we're assessed from head to toe. Like what you're wearing, how you carry, what's your handbag, what's your shoe. Like I don't know. I mean, it happens in Dubai, right?
Oh, it
So
happens.
you are assessed. And so a lot of women, they do a lot to have that appearance. And is my hair right? Is my Shayla right? Am I wearing the right pin? I don't care. I mean, I'm like, I've been through so much, like literally so much. I'm literally wearing a paper clip to clip my Shayla together because I couldn't find the pin. I'm like, no problem, whatever. That doesn't matter because like I said, you go through so many hurdles and you overcome so many hurdles, you come out like it doesn't matter. I know the day that I was full makeup, Shayla done well, most expensive abaya, nice shoes when I was working in the corporate. Now I'm like, where are my sneakers, where's my comfy abaya? I can't do this.
Because
But
again,
again, it comes with age, like you said.
yeah, because when you're younger, social media also, not only younger actually, sometimes age doesn't matter. It has a lot to do again, like I keep repeating, with you as a person as well. So it's a combination of all of this at the end of the day, right? Because see, most of us consume social media, right? And I, because of my job also, I spend a lot of time on social media watching various things. But I've never once looked at somebody and said, "Oh, they are doing this, therefore so must I." I have never felt that need, right? And I'm also able to discern the difference between that is social media, that is what we post on, they post on social media doesn't mean it's real life, right?
Correct.
And interestingly enough, I only realized that very recently, where even if you look at my social media, I don't think it gives at all an accurate picture of who I am. Because I'm generally a very private person. I post a lot, so I feel like people think that they know a lot about me, but in reality, I'm very different. So it's not something I did intentionally, and I know social media nowadays, it's very curated and very packaged. I've never been that kind of person. And so I just will post anything and everything. But if you judge me based on my social media, I think I'm very different, right? I used to be really, really shy, unbelievable. I mean, people are shocked when I tell them that because, when you're doing things like media, you can't afford to be. right? I can't be shy and going and interviewing brand new people, meeting them for the first time, building that rapport. So I had to change quite a lot. And I think also a lot of the things that I did helped in that process. Like I did drama for the longest time, from the time I was like 6. So that also really helped me open up. Um, as when I joined the Daily Mirror again, new job, I had to go meet new people. I think one of my first assignments was to cover a play, and I had to go
Mm,
stop the people and get their comments. And I remember I was shaking. I was like, okay, this is something I don't do. How would I do that? And sometimes you have to adapt,
mm,
right? So yeah, I think I kind of now lost track of what I was saying. But again, coming back to social media, right? You learn over time that that is an illusion, truly, right?
true,
Because
true,
we all present a version of ourselves that we want the world to see. I'm not going to, again, not intentionally, but I've barely posted anything about being shy, right? So if, and even today you ask anyone, is Rihaab shy? They'll say the opposite. Because again, from what they see is very different from the reality. So social
true,
media
true.
also, though you need to learn how to consume content. And I think these are
Yeah.
discussions that need to be had early because you can't avoid social media nowadays. Children have
Mm,
phones, they're very young, right? So they have constant access to this. So I think banning it is never going to help. It's
yeah.
always about being able to have those conversations with kids. Talk to them openly. Even with my students, sometimes they'll come to me with the most random things, and even if it sounds silly or it sounds ridiculous, I always sit and listen, right? Because if I
Mm,
shut them down, if I dismiss things, they're never going to be able to be comfortable enough to say something. And that's the whole thing, with anything, we have to make it a very judgment free zone where people can come to you and have these conversations without being made to feel like a fool or made to feel
mm,
less than. Because that way, we're
mm,
not going to help anyone. So, yes,
mm.
I know I kept kind of going off on a tangent. So, like I said, social media also really plays a role in this. And because of that, I think we really need to be more mindful about how we consume this content. I see an improvement, quite frankly. I think people are more now aware that social media is something that's entirely different, it's not realistic.
Mm,
But still, sometimes you might see your friends constantly traveling, and somebody might think, oh, why am I not traveling all the time? Right? So
mm.
that comparison is a thief of joy, but it's human nature. And you will tend to compare at some point. But again, you have to be very mindful of how you're consuming this.
Wow. It started from ego
I mean, that
to
happens with us, right?
success. Yeah. That's
My
why
God.
it's called unfiltered.
I
The
know we
reason
go
it's called
over.
unfiltered, we go. There's always a thread.
True.
And see, like we started with people not wanting to be wrong, and to consumption of social media, which has a thread, because social media is curated in such a way that they don't want to be wrong. So
Yes,
if you can't meet them, like if you can't meet your followers, if you can't meet a celebrity or influencer, but then their content is so curated that they're like, I'm always right. This is me. This is what I see. This is what I believe, and I'm always right. And you're like, oh wow, they're right. Like, they have that opinion and they're right. But then they're not willing to have a different opinion. They're not willing to look at the different angle of something.
exactly. Because see, we always look at things from our perspective, how we feel about the situation, what we know, our preconceived notions. So
Mm,
we've
mm,
sometimes, by the time we look at a post, we've already made our conclusions,
yeah.
right? We look at that with that lens. Again, like I said, even when I post things, my intention is not to be right. It's about, of course, I'm not posting information that's incorrect. But what I meant is that I'm sharing my perspective on a topic in order to spark
Yes.
conversation, right? So I
True.
absolutely do welcome diverse opinions. I mean, that's how we can learn from one another.
Yeah.
But sometimes, almost immediately, the comments are very defensive. And you can see that they have looked at it from their perspective. Sometimes, some people, when you explain, are willing to say that, you know what, maybe they misread it. But in many times, you see that they will absolutely stand firm on that. Right? And again, I used to get really in the beginning, I used to get really upset. I used to think, but I didn't say this. Why are they saying it this way? But now, see, despite my background and knowing about these things, when it happens to you, it's a different case entirely, right? You forget
Yes.
everything that you know, and now suddenly it's very personal. And it feels like a
Yes.
personal attack. And then I realized, you know what? I should know better. You know, these people, it's not always that they want to be argumentative, but when they believe strongly in something, they're going to see things in that way. So as much as I can, I do try to engage respectfully, and I do accept, you know, diverse opinions because that's how we learn as well. And I'm also constantly learning
Mm.
from things people say. Some people have fabulous feedback, right? So yeah, that's basically what I was trying to say.
Wow.
I mean,
Wow. And I
do you not
absolutely.
realize that when you do things as well?
You see, the thing is, when I talk, when I say, I have clients, right? I have mentees, and we get into it. There are mentees who have left the table because they're not willing to listen to what I'm saying. And they're like, and there are a few of them are like, I don't want to talk to you, Riz. You don't know what you're talking about. I'm like, cool, cool, no problem. All right. And then boom, get up and walk away. And I'm like, I'm still drinking my coffee. I'm still here, whatever. When I come back 5 minutes later, okay, I'm sorry. I was mad. I'm like, all right, no problem, continue. I've had this like live. I've had this live. Like they get upset because see, my job is not to mollycoddle. I've been saying this from the moment I started coaching and mentoring. If you come work with me, I'm not going to be like, oh my God, you're such a fragile creature. Let me wrap you in cotton wool. Sorry, darling. No cotton wool, no bullshit. Start walking. That's how I am. So I always say, not everybody can work with me. I don't work with everybody. But when I tell them some really harsh truths, you must see them. They get defensive, they get angry, they get frustrated. And that's because at they're looking at it first of all like an attack.
Yes.
They're vulnerable and they're looking at it like I'm attacking them. Attacking and attacking some of them attacking their pain or attacking their trauma or even minimizing their pain. That's
Yes.
what they assume. But what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to get you out of that hole that you've dug yourself into. That hole is not helpful. I need to get you out. To do that, I can coax you, I can light a fire under you, I can pull you out with the rope. I will do anything and everything to get you out of the hole. That's my job. And in the middle of getting you out, will end up getting scratched. That's fine. Part of the job. But that's the thing. So at the beginning when this happened, I used to be like, oh my God, am I wrong? Oh my God, why did that happen? Like, I used to get so upset. I used to be so sad. And I'm like, oh, maybe I'm not cut off for this coaching and mentoring. Maybe I'm not missing that thing that. And I'm like, that's when education comes. I started studying, I started researching, I started understanding. Like, am I teaching the right thing? Is this right? Is this valid? Is this working? And then when people start yelling, and I'm like, I know I'm right. I'm sorry. I know I'm right. And I know what I'm talking about because I'm the expert, but go ahead. You talk. So when you come to that level, it's a different ball game. And like you said, it feels like a personal attack.
Yes, my God, yes. So that's what I say when this is if this is something that you're very familiar with, you know, when it happens, you never know until it happens to you. I think that's what all of us sometimes forget. I've always tried to be mindful of that, but again, when it happens, it feels extremely personal. But yeah, now I have thankfully figured that out. You know, I've realized that, you know, it's genuinely it's not personal, but we have to be mindful that everyone's not going to see things the way you see it, right? and also sometimes the cultural backgrounds, language
Mm.
issues, all of that combined, you know, I try to make the content as accessible as possible, but that's not always realistic. And always I have sometimes people asking me, you could have, said more, there is more to it. I said, love, if I'm going to discuss everything, I can write a book. Right? But unfortunately, social media, that's not realistic, right? And I'm not going to be writing long things that is difficult to consume. So you can't also satisfy everyone. So it's about learning and finding that balance. And,
That's
in the
another
process,
thing. That's another interesting thing. You go do something, okay? You create something, you put it out, you literally put it out at the beginning, like you're so nervous about it, and then you put out the second one, like my podcast and my stories that I do and my content, and you put it out and you do it, and then people come and say, you know what, that was nice, but there's more to this. Okay. First I used to be like, okay, I need to write more. I need to give more. I need to create a carousel. If you've seen my old post, which I have not deleted any of it from 2021, even there have been long carousels, long explanations. Now I'm like, if you want to say something, go write it. As simple as that. If they come to me and say, oh, you know what, about magnetism, this, you can talk about this, you can talk about that. Definitely create a post. I will like it. No such thing will be done. So what are you coming and telling me when you're not willing to do? No, I'm serious. They come and tell me, like they tell you, oh, you could have talked about this. There's more to this than that. Amazing. Do a post or do a series of posts. I will like it. I will share it. I will forward it. Crickets, crickets. That's how it'll happen.
I can
Um,
imagine.
yes. So when somebody comes and tells you something like that, rather than saying like, yeah, I could write a book, which you can based on the research you've done, you can simply say, amazing. Why don't you do a post of your perspective of this? And I'll share it among my people as well. No, no, no. I'm not a writer like you. I'm just telling you ideas. For me, that's noise. I'm sorry. As I said, it's unfiltered. That's noise. We are not gonna be helpful in let's do a series together like this.
Yes.
Let's talk, let's write, let's do something, let's put it out together. No, no, see, I can't, I'm not like you, then don't blab. I literally say that to people and they don't come and say anything after that to me.
I'm honestly
They
all for
don't.
constructive criticism, but sometimes when it's not, where it's coming from, and
You
then
know,
it's
open,
not.
like like you said, constructive criticism, I'm open. Like, tell me. Tell me. I'll make it better. Tell me. Like I said, my beginning podcast episodes, some people were telling like, Riz, the volume is not clear, the voice is not clear. I'm like, I'm so sorry. My headphone was not working, but I'll fix that.
Yeah.
But it's a trial and error. I don't have a team. I don't have a team where we'll come and put lighting here, lighting like how it was in Colombo. No, I don't have a team here. It's me, my selfie, my broken selfie stick, which is in front of a jug. You gotta do what you gotta do.
And you have to start somewhere, right? Otherwise, you're
You
never
gotta
going to.
start somewhere.
Like you said,
Exactly.
trial and error. That's how you improve and get better.
Yeah. And see, and when you do trial and error, that's when you're authentic.
True.
That's when, like, I walked that, I stumbled and I fell. And you turn around and say, listen, you're walking that path, be careful. There's something jutting out exactly on this position, walk around it. And the other person's like, oh, thank you so much. You just saved me days.
See, that's also how we started our podcast series, right? When we were discussing, we never said, let's do it exactly like that or exactly like this. We said, you know what, day one, let's just go with the flow and then we'll figure it out.
Yeah, exactly.
See what works and then go from there. I mean, that's the best way to go about things. Because
Exactly. There's so much to talk about, especially among Muslim women. There's so much to talk about. Like I told you, on our DMs, I said we need more women with healthy voices to
Yes.
go out and say stuff.
I mean, there are so many of them, but unfortunately, they don't speak up, or they're shy, or there's something. So it'll be fantastic if some of them can come on and share their perspectives.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, that's the plan. Bringing in some guests as well into the series.
Nice. Excited about that.
Yes. Wow, that was so unfiltered.
God, yes.
Any last words before I wrap up?
Um, okay, if I start, I'm going to go off on a tangent again. But I really enjoy this, and I think genuinely what I said during this podcast as well. I feel like a lot of topics need to be out here and discussed, because if we don't know a concept exists, like how would we learn?
Yeah.
Right? And genuinely, a lot of the reasons a lot of people have certain attitudes is because they don't realize what they're doing. So if we talk about
Mm,
this, make it a safe space, and make people realize that this is what I'm doing, that self-awareness then leads to education, right? And like, internet is widely accessible nowadays. You can get the information yourself. So to have these open conversations where we discuss these various topics, and I think more people need to be doing this. See, you don't need a platform,
yeah.
right? Just talk when okay, I'm a talker now. And even if I sit at a bank where there's an Uber driver, I constantly have conversations. And sometimes it's so interesting how we can educate each other. We learn from
True.
each other in these short, periods of time that we spend with others. And I think
True.
that's something that's very important. Conversation can change the world, quite honestly. And I stand by this. I've seen this happen. And I think we can talk about that more next time. But conversations for sure can change the world. And I think that's
It definitely can.
something we all should do.
Something we I think I think this kind of podcasting, I believe everyone should do. It's not hard, it's not difficult. Get on Spotify creators, create an account, do a recording, just do an audio and upload. It's not that difficult. But I think people are not doing it because of what will they say? What will auntie say? What will uncle say? What will my brother say? Or my sister say? What will my grandmother's aunties, cousins say?
People will always say something. That's something I've
Oh,
learned. So, I mean, you have to keep doing what you do.
you gotta
What
do
was it
what you
about the
gotta do.
barking dogs in the caravan? I mean, it's true, right? You have to keep going sometimes. It's not
Yeah.
like not like you're dismissing, anyone, but if what they're saying is not helpful and it's just holding you back, why would you listen to those voices? Is what I'm saying.
And also you can only grow if you are bold enough to grow.
Yes.
If you're scared, you can't grow.
Oh no, not
That's
at
what
all.
I've learned. If you're scared, you shrink. You keep shrinking and you keep small.
And growth is not easy. It's painful. It's
Yeah.
difficult. All of that. So
Oh my god.
but
Tell
I
me
hope,
about it.
but I sincerely hope that more people, again, with conversation, with open, honest conversation, judgment free, most of all, I think we really can, people really can change the world. And I think we all should do what little we can in
Yeah.
our own little way.
Yeah. To spark conversations.
That's what
Yeah.
I'm trying with
Cool.
my post, at least. So that's what I meant, whatever little way you can. Like, I barely had anyone, like, my account was just a very random account, and I just randomly started posting. So, you start somewhere. I don't have a huge following, but, in my little way, I'm doing whatever I can to kind of spark that conversation. Start somewhere.
Yeah, because see, I believe that one day when we meet God, God's gonna ask you, I tell this to my kids. I blessed you with this talent. I blessed you with these gifts. Blessed you with these abilities. What did you do with them? What transformation did you create? So
Yeah.
that's my thing every day. I'm like, okay, if I'm going to stand up in front of God, and God's like, oh, I got you a platform. I gave you a brain, which is kind of weird, but but I gave it to you, and you're eccentric and you're different. The way you dress and the way you talk, and people won't believe. I mean, you're a different human being. I blessed you with all of that. What did you do with it? And I'm like, yeah, didn't wanna, Yarab.
Yeah.
No, it doesn't
The
work that way. So
fear of judgment, fear of failure, all of that.
yeah, fear of judgment, fear of what they will say, and then God's like, were you not afraid what you will tell me? Then I'm like, yeah. So every time I want to do something and I'm like, and I'm like, okay, this is an inspired divine guidance. I will go ahead with it because I can deal with people. I can't go to my Lord and say, I didn't do it even though you gave it to me. So that's the way I operate.
Yeah. Agreed. Same.
Alhamdulillah. Okay. Wow, Rahab, that was fun. That was nice. Like when I see the show notes, I will see what we've discussed so much.
I know we
So
discussed a
that was
lot.
fun. Yeah, that's how conversations are created. Like, we spoke about so many things. And like I said, guys, Unfiltered is about creating unfiltered conversations. So, so episode one, I think you'll understand that we will go into different tangents, but from the next episode onwards, we will have a more structured title, but we are not going to promise that we'll talk within the title, but we'll be with the title.
Absolutely, yes. That.
All right, Rahab. Thank you so much for joining. It was so much fun. Alhamdulillah. Thank you all for joining and listening to our series, which will grow and grow and grow, inshallah. Ameen. So, again, from the Central Womb Whispers, the podcast by the House of Sacred Space, we're signing off with Rizana and
Rehab.
Reha. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.